Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 41 of Rebreak Radio. My name is Dennis, and today I am joined by Carl.
Hello. You can't see me wave, maybe.
Yeah, you
Oh, yeah, you can.
Yes. So today we are going to have a topical discussion about Pokemon. I started playing the Crown Tundra, and I finished Isle of Armor, and I was like, I don't know how I don't really enjoy this anymore. So we're gonna talk about how we would revamp, how we would change up the Pokemon formula for the next generation. Or well, for this generation. I mean, we're not gonna get a next generation Nintendo console anytime soon. I hope at least. I mean, I like the Switch. I mean, we could get like a Pro or whatever, but
I read, sorry to just immediately railroad it, but I read somewhere that in next March, the Switch is going into its 5th year. And I just kind of crumbled away. Holy shit, did the Switch just release last year?
Yeah, I had a similar moment. I had a similar moment earlier today where I watched Game Explain's review of Pikmin 3, and they were like, "How does this game hold up 7 years later?" And I'm like,
"It's a Pikmin 3, oh yeah, I remember. I also had one of those with Final Fantasy where people were like, Final Fantasy 20 years ago. What you're thinking is Final Fantasy 4, but it's like Final Fantasy 9 or whatever." And
Yeah.
everyone was like, "Stop it! I'm old enough already." But yeah, time goes by fast.
Yeah. In addition to this, we might also talk a little bit about our impressions of the Crown Tundra, and talk about the Nintendo Direct Mini that happened today. So let's begin with our topic. So Pokemon, the wonderful world of Pokemon, where Ash Ketchum is 10 years old. He gets a mouse and he's evicted from his house to adventure through the world.
Yeah, if you're just looking at the anime though. The forever 10-year-old Ash has been 10 for the last 21 years.
Yeah.
Or however long the anime has gone for.
So let's kind of break down what we don't like about the current system in Pokemon. So if you have been under a rock for the last, what is it, 25 years since Pokemon came out? Something like that.
Look it up. A long time ago.
Yeah, Pokemon is an RPG where you collect little pocket monsters and you battle them in turn-based battles. These turn-based battles, usually 1-on-1, but there are also like 2-on-2, 3-on-3 sometimes, and like teams. Your Pokemon can level up and they can have these different attacks, and you can use these. And the strategy comes from using these different attacks, and their type advantages and disadvantages. And you use like a fire attack against a grass Pokemon, etc., etc., etc. You probably know this. So why doesn't this work anymore, Carl?
It's so simple. It's like disgustingly simple, because the problem is it always has been simple. Like when you look back at it and when you replay games I say you, but I mean when I replay games now, it's so easy. I can just, like, the only reason I would replay Emerald, for example, I'm using it as an example as it is my favorite Pokemon game. It's not because I want a challenge. It's because I just want to like re-experience the journey. But you drive over every single wild battle, every single trainer, every single gym battle. Like, it's disgustingly easy. And it's so simple. And the problem is that they've taken a system, the normal JRPG, the turn-based system where you have usually four party members with their own moves, and that's already like the bare bones of a JRPG party system, and they just broken that down even more. And at this point, it's no longer like you don't need any strategy. What's your strategy? Can you one-shot this dude? Yeah, do it. There's no reason to not use your strongest move. There's no reason to buff up. Because either they one-shot you or you one-shot them. And in normal play, they're never gonna one-shot you. So either you one-shot them or you one-shot them the turn after. Which is a problem, because that makes every battle like unnecessary.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I was finishing up Isle of Armor in preparation for starting the Crown Tundra, and like first of all, the DLC, like I was pretty pro the DLC route. Like I think it's a way better strategy than releasing a third version, and forcing you to replay the entire game again. But the actual content that they put into this DLC was just not very good. Like it's just a bunch of fetch quests over and over with vague descriptions so that you spend more time on finding whatever you have to find. And then you get Cub Fu at like, what is it, level 5? What do you get Cub Fu at?
Yeah, it's super low level.
Yeah, and then you have to, like, you get Cub Fu, and your next quest is go to one of the towers, and you need to have your Cub Fu at level 70, and it's just up to you to farm the hell out of your Cub Fu for, like, the next few hours if you don't have a bunch of candies already.
Yeah, you could be like me and give your cub food diabetes by force feeding it some metric shit ton of candies, and then like, oh, it's suddenly 75. I wonder what happened.
Yeah.
And then you go into one of the towers, and it's also not even worth it.
Yeah, and
I benched that thing as soon as I like finished the tower, because you need to use the cub food in the tower.
And that was the thing too, like you get into towers, and this was like what was hyped during the direct when they were talking about Isle of Armor, you know? It's like, oh, these towers are gonna be cool, and then it's just 5 trainer battles in a row with one Pokemon.
They don't even have
each.
cool Pokemon. It's like, oh, one has a Krabby, and the other one has a Psyduck. Oh, and this third one, a Poliwhirl. Yeah, Poliwhirl is the second. So it's not even like hard. It's just like, oh, you went with the Tower of Water. How about you just give your Cub Fu Thunder Punch, and then you one-shot everything.
Yeah.
Or, oh, you go the route where you go into the dark. I didn't go to the Dark Tower. I went with the Water Tower, so I don't know how it looks. But your Cub Fu is a fighting type, so you just already have close combat, which is one of the best fighting type moves in the game. So you just like steamroll through that. So it's not even like it's not content. It's just there.
Yeah, like I was thinking about it. As I was playing it, and I was like, the tower is literally just the same room 5 times. So it was literally just for them to like, okay, just take this prefab and like plop 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 plop, and then put the trainers in them, and then like, okay, this trainer, just drag and drop like fucking Zoroark to it or whatever, and Zorua, and then drag and drop this other Pokemon and this other Pokemon, and then you're done. And that was it. Like how it honestly, like after I finished this, my question was, how did this take so long to make? Like how did this take multiple months to make? There's nothing here other than the actual island itself.
I mean, I remember us talking about it, like you, me, and our, not the Leo that's been on this show, but the other Leo. And they have like, we did find evidence of them having to redo every single model for the Switch. For whatever reason. I mean
Isle of Armor. I need Isle of Armor specifically, not the entire Sword and Shield game.
Yeah, but I mean Isle of Armor because they added a lot of like old Pokemon. So that's a lot of new models they had to make.
Yeah.
Or remake. So that's why it took a long time. That's what I imagine.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's like there's no substance. I think I said what I said to you yesterday was, or wrote to you yesterday was like Pokemon has become minimal substance. No substance and minimal style. Because they try, it's not even like style over substance. It's just they try to have style over substance, but they fail.
Mm. Yeah, like Dynamaxing in the game is just it's cool. Like it is so cool to do, but it just doesn't do anything. Like, okay, you have a more powerful move. Yeah, I was going to one-shot this guy anyway.
Yeah, like the coolest thing in my opinion, the coolest thing that Pokemon Sword and Shield does, and I think it does it right, is the Dynamax battles. Like the specific when they go to one of the dens
Mm.
and you team up with 4 other people. Oh, and look here, you're suddenly you have 4 Pokemons that have their own moves, and you have to strategize, kinda.
Mm.
Most of the time, you just go in with the legendary and do. Oh, look at me! I can do half the health with one move, or whatever. But I
Yeah.
have had some Dynamax battles that were actually interesting because you had to kind of strategize.
Mm.
Because sometimes you can get past the whole, oh, it's going to reset the stats. So you start buffing up and use this buff, and suddenly you're a normal RPG.
Yeah.
And that's when Pokemon is fun.
The problem I had
And
with Dynamax battles was that
yep.
I mean, I wish you could pick the order that you attacked in.
But that's like a basic thing in Pokemon with the
With the
person with
speed.
the highest speed stat
Yeah.
goes first.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I kind of and I started playing Crown Tundra, and I got through that like Dynamax adventure thing that it starts with. And that was pretty interesting, actually. I thought that was pretty cool. You don't get to have your own Pokemon, which goes against everything Pokemon is about. But sure, I mean, it was cool. And you kind of have to remember the Pokemon in this row, and you have to pick where to go so that you get a Pokemon that is effective against the one at the end. And then you also can't. I don't think you can restore any HP or any PP or anything.
I think you get like, I at least got one of the parts like, hey, do you want to heal? I'm like, sure.
Mm.
But that's about it. I also had like terrible luck with the Pokemons I got, so
Yeah, so
but yeah.
So that was pretty cool. But yeah, other than that, like the new guy, Peony.
I like him.
Yeah, I mean he's cool or whatever, but it's just like I don't really care about any of these characters at this point.
Like I am not done with Crown Tundra because I haven't gotten like the legendary Pokemon for that. I have chased around the Regis. That was cool. Some nostalgia because they brought back the music. Spoilers. And it was really cool going into like the dens, and then you hear the old like Generation 3 remixes. Like they remixed the music with Generation 3, and I had like a moment. And then I proceeded to chuck 80 fucking Pokeballs at one of them and wasted 80 Premier Balls. I was super upset because that fight took me half an hour, and like 29 minutes of it was, hey, how about I throw Premier Balls at it? That's a whole other problem because the fights aren't even fights. You just press 2 buttons over and over and over again. And there's such a stupidly low catch rate sometimes. And that comes from a guy that has consistently been able to catch the legendaries with like a single Premier Ball. I go in like, oh, he's gonna have our epic fight against in Generation 7. I went when you come up to in Sun and Moon, when you come up to and you're gonna catch the box art legendary. After this whole journey, I'm like, hey, I'm just gonna chuck a Premier Ball. I chucked the Premier Ball. Oh, I caught it. Cool. What a climax.
Yeah, ever since like I don't know, like Generation 6 or something like that, I've never used my Master Ball.
I have never used my Master Ball, period.
Because
but I'm like the person who I only use Pokeball or Pokeball esque Pokeballs.
Mm.
I don't use Great Balls or anything like
Yeah,
that
I
because
use
I want some sort of challenge.
yeah I use a lot of quick balls when it comes to just filling out the Pokédex. But if there is a Pokemon that I want, like that I want to use on my party, then I only use the Pokeball, the standard Pokeball, because I want when my trainer throws the Pokeball, I want it to be an actual Pokeball and not any of the other weird ass designs.
Yeah, I know like a lot of people like using Pokeballs that fits for the Pokemon. So it's like fucking blue and red, I guess. Oh, I'm gonna use a Great Ball for this, or it's yellow and blackish. I'm gonna use the Ultra Ball. Not because they're better, just because it fits the Pokemon. But I can't. I wanna use normal Pokeballs personally, or Premier Balls for legendaries. Sometimes I use Luxury Balls too, but that's when I have them.
So,
anyways,
so let's get into the actual topic. 20 minutes into this episode.
But it's fun to like. We need to break down the problems before we start saying, "This is how we'll fix it."
So let's start with your approach to it. It's a little bit more traditional than what mine is. So let's start with yours.
So like what I thought was if like Game Freak came up, rang, or they called me and said, "Hey, you're gonna direct Generation 9 now, and you have basically all the freedom in the world. You need to have a few like restrictions, and those restrictions would be it has the core, the absolute core of Pokemon has to be there. So it needs to be you need to catch Pokemon." You need to have this journey to become the best trainer, and it needs to be a turn-based RPG. Those are the three like restrictions I've set on myself, or in this scenario, Game Freak or Nintendo or whoever decides to like say this is how this project gonna work have set on me. So it's still gonna be a turn-based JRPG. So what I would do is just, hey, how about we take every single move in the game and just make them do not 100 damage, make them do like 10. And then I would also change it so that, hey, there's no longer a single like 1v1 fight. All of them are at least 3v3. And suddenly you need to strategize because suddenly you can't go around one-shotting. And we're starting to get into the, hey, it's starting to become a normal RPG again. And the thing I would do to keep the Pokemon like feeling to it is, sure, it's fine to have like a story that's more focused on the kiddie aspect. You're a like 10-year-old every time you're a 10-year-old, except for Generation 5, I think. Anyway, you go out, you're gonna be the best Pokemon trainer in the world. You're gonna go through all the gyms, get all the badges, and then become the champion. Like I would keep those story beats. I would probably like in the terms of story, it should be the same. I would probably like there are definite improvements. For example, I would take the thing they tried to do with Sword and Shield and have a focus on only the tournament and actually only focus on the tournament. No bad guys. The whole thing is like you have your rivals. Yeah, you keep your rivals throughout. And there's no weird legendaries, no weird like climate change people that like, hey, we're gonna fix the world now, which was really out of left field. Nothing like that. It's just gonna focus on the league tournament. And I would also do it so that when you catch Pokemon, don't only train them by fighting. You train them by because I like the idea of the curry thing or the camp or the Pokemon ID that it was the name before when it was introduced in Generation 6. Because I like the whole idea of Pokemon. Pokemon aren't necessarily your animals; they're your companions. You're friends with them. So, like having those actually improve how your Pokemon perform in battle. That's a thing I would focus on. So I wouldn't make them not perform if you just catch them, because you need the Pokemon to actually work. But you would get buffs that you need. Like, you can't go through the game without the Pokemon camp. If you can, but it would be extremely, like, it would be more difficult, and it wouldn't give you the same boons. So that's how I would try to keep the face of Pokemon. Because if we still focus on you going around catching Pokemon and then becoming their companions. And the reason I want to do this is because I want to have the focus on, like I said, the core aspects of the game. And that's like the general, that's what I thought right now, how I would like go about it in the beginning. Then I would probably try to make a look at how other turn-based RPGs go about their fighting, and look how can I improve that. So now when we have like 3v3s or 4v4s, I would probably remove the move limit, because 4 moves are silly. We need like more. And I would place a heavy focus on the buffing up type of thing. Basically look at how Persona does it, and then you have the general idea of how I want the combat system to work. And I would also definitely keep the typing, because that's also an interesting thing to have. Like, lightning is better than these types and stuff like that. Because that's the problem I have with Persona, that one element counters one element. In Pokemon, you have this really quite complex for a RPG.
Yeah.
At least for a simple RPG, quite complex typing chart for disadvantages and advantages and stuff like that. And I want to keep that, because that's one of the interesting things about Pokemon. But yeah, that's how I would do it. I would also make it so that if you fight a boss, like if you fight a gym leader, it wouldn't be like, how can I kill this as fast as possible, but it should be like they should feel like a gym leader. They shouldn't just feel like a trainer with cooler Pokemon, because that's what they feel like right now. You're still one-shotting. You're still like, oh, why am I not the champion right now? Because of arbitrary level reasons. It should feel like these are the gym leaders. This should be a challenge.
Yeah.
Also, I would add, when I said challenge, was reminded, I would add difficulty, like easy, medium, or hard. Easy, normal, hard, because the Pokemon needs it. Because right now it's like stuck on super easy. But yeah, that's like how I would go about it. And there's probably like more stuff that I could evolve, but I haven't really thought about it, and my voice is starting to get sore, so I will leave it over to Dennis now.
So you're basically just making the fights longer by reducing the amount of damage that you give.
It wouldn't be arbitrarily just making the fights longer. It would be, rather than you going in and pressing, hey, I'm gonna do surf, and they're dead. It would be more like, hey, I'm gonna go in there, and sure, after a while you're gonna like one-shot wild Pokemon, for example, or low-level trainers, because that's how RPGs work. But when you go into a boss fight, you should have to think about what you're doing. That's the point. That's why I would lower it, because right now, damage a move does it's such a proportional amount more than the health a Pokemon can have. That's a problem. You shouldn't be able to three-shot a strong Pokemon. It should take some effort. And it shouldn't just be, oh, I'm gonna press surf over and over again. But you should have to, because it should be like both ways, just as you can like buff up and do more damage to the enemy, they should be able to do the same to you. So it shouldn't just be, I can spam this one thing over and over again. Because if you do that, you should lose. You should have to use like defense ups or attack ups, or you should have to use buffing moves. And like just for posterity's sake, I don't play PvP, and I know that strategy exists in PvP, but I can't really say anything about that. I'm strictly speaking of a story-based
The single player.
against the AI single player experience here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, yeah, like really the problem that you are attempting to fix is the fact that you don't often get the time to even strategize to begin with. Because it's literally just, okay, this equals win, and then I win. You never even get, so by making the battles longer, you get a chance to actually strategize, to actually think about something more than just, okay, this one is weak to that. Yeah. I also think what something else that I think is making the games a lot easier is all of the quality of life things that have been added. Like Sword and Shield
The
added
XP share.
not necessarily XP share, because that one really just makes you waste less of your time. But Sword and Shield allows you to access the Pokemon boxes from anywhere, which I think is a terrible idea. Because that just when your Pokemon are weak, you can just go in to the boxes and pick one that isn't weak. It's like, it just makes it too easy. And I also think that all the healing items makes the game too easy as well. Well, they have been there all the time, obviously, but like, it's very easy to beat one trainer, like in a gym, for example. Like, maybe one thing would be like in gyms that you wouldn't be allowed to use healing items at all. I feel like that would be an interesting, and if you die, you have to do all of the trainers again.
Not necessarily think that. I don't think that's a good idea. I just think that like healing items are a problem right now because like they heal basically all your health.
Mm.
So all of them are full hits. You're not gonna use a potion if you can use something better.
Yeah.
Like after the first gym, you're no longer using potions, you're using super potions or movement mix or whatever. And like you get movement mix in the beginning, how much health do they heal? Like 100. And at level like right now, most of my Pokemon are like between 75 and 90, and they have like at most 300 health. So at the beginning of the game, you get a thing that at the end of the game are still really good to use, which is dumb. So that's like when I say I would decrease the damage of the moves, I also say like decrease the amount of health you get from healing and stuff like that. Like your health should matter. It doesn't now. It's either you die or you don't die. It should be, hey, you can risk going lower health, but it's gonna not be easy to recover, basically. And that's why I also think like, and if a battle is longer, it sounds negative, but just because a battle is longer doesn't mean it's worse. It just means that you would have less battles and make the battles you're actually doing more important.
Exactly. Yeah, I was just about to say that as well. Like, you wouldn't be able to take this new system and just plop it into Sword and Shield, for instance. Like, you need less trainers, less wild battles and stuff like that, and make each and every one of them more interesting. Okay, yeah, I think it could. It would definitely. I think it would work, and it is what I'm a little bit more skeptical over is the necessity of the Pokemon camp. not because of the idea of it, but more because of their implementation of it, because it's just not very fun to do. But
Oh
I
yeah,
do
it's
think,
like a big thing you should work with. That
yeah,
needs work on. I don't have the answers right now, because if I had, I would make this game myself. And I probably will someday, hopefully, because I want to make an RPG. But yeah, right now as it is, it's. I mean, I still don't understand how the current minigame works. For
yeah,
example,
same
like
here.
I
Like I
just
keep
do
getting
stuff.
bad, keep getting just like okay curry.
I get silver curry. They're happy. I got them one gold curry. I still don't like the timing is so weird. For example, like that's UI problem more. I think not necessarily the current minigame. The current minigame is whatever. It's just it doesn't give feedback on if you did it right or wrong, or what you're doing is right or wrong. So
Yeah.
that's like a thing. And there's also a thing, yeah, like you could keep the current minigame, but it shouldn't fully heal your Pokemon every time. It should give you buffs. Like, oh, you made a Charizard curry. Oh, here, have a plus 10% damage thing. Because that's the important thing with RPGs, in my opinion, and a lot of people who play RPGs opinion, is the number crunching. Because it's fun to know, okay, if I do this, I'm gonna do more damage, and how is the most optimal? Is having a 10% more optimal than just getting +5. If, like, that's a super simple and super vague example, but you get what I mean. So, but yeah, sorry if I interrupted you.
No. So yeah, you would have to make Pokemon Camp a lot more fun than it is, and more
Yeah,
intuitive and more implemented into the flow of the gameplay. Just like how battles are just a natural part of the game, Pokemon Camp is something that you have to consciously trigger and do. And it
yeah, it
feels like a
shouldn't be
chore.
like a side game.
Yeah. Um, so should we move on to mine, or do you want to talk more about yours?
I have nothing more to talk about right now.
Okay.
So you go. What's
So
your wonderful?
so mine is a radical revamp of basically everything that is in Pokemon. So first of all, I would take the game to real-time gameplay. So I'll start with what my goals were. So my main goal was to make a gameplay version of the anime. Because I think that even like most people watched the Pokemon anime at least a little bit as a kid. At least if you played the games, you watched at least some of the Pokemon anime. And I feel like most people who play Pokemon, when they play Pokemon, they kind of visualize what is happening on the screen in their heads like a battle in the Pokemon anime. They have like, especially if you're a kid, like you are having this like, oh my god, you're visualizing this battle in this very epic way. Um, so I want to take the game to real time, and I want to make it more skill based, less luck based, unless the luck is intentional, and also change the structure of the game where it's no longer linear. Instead, you can go to any gym that you want in any order that you want, um, because it is just arbitrary that you can go to them in the order that they have right now. Um, and I would also focus the story entirely around the gym progression. Um, there's no B plot, or maybe if there's a B plot, there are B plots, multiple of them, like side quests. Um, but the main quest is entirely focused around the gym battles. Um, so what do I mean by real time? Well, I don't necessarily know myself. um, it would be very hard to do because the biggest problem that Game Freak, the biggest challenge that Game Freak has with making every Pokemon game is the roster of Pokemon. There are so many of them. How many are there now? 880, something like that?
A stupid amount.
Um,
But yeah, it's like 900 almost.
yeah. There are so many Pokemon, which means that if you add one animation to
896.
896, so we're almost gonna cross the 900 threshold. So basically, every animation that you add to your game is going to increase the production by 896 times, which is a lot. That is an insane amount of work for just adding one animation to your Pokemon, which is exactly why they don't have all the Pokemon in Pokemon Sword and Shield. Because they wanted to do this Pokemon Camp thing and they wanted to make it more interactive and all that stuff. So, how do you do? And I wanted to specifically make this a conversation. Like, what kind of like I've been thinking you would probably go in kind of Final Fantasy VII Remake direction with the combat, where you have
character action,
where you have this kind of very simple combat in itself. Like, it's fairly simple, but then you have also these spells that you can use. You can basically like pause the game and use these spells. So I think that is the way you would do it. Like, basically every Pokemon would have like a standard kind of move, 3-button combo. Obviously, Pokemon that wouldn't punch something, they wouldn't do it either. But it's like how Barrett uses his minigun to shoot. He doesn't have like a punch combo. So you would do this, and this would, I mean, and it would be even simpler than Final Fantasy VII is, or maybe not. I don't know. But this would give very very simple gameplay, and then you would have some of these like multi-purpose animations, like Pokemon already does, for using the moves, the different abilities. And these would be triggered in a similar way to Final Fantasy VII Remake, I would imagine. I don't know. And you would also like have one at a time, or maybe you can do double battles, and then you would be able to jump between two Pokemon like you can jump between multiple characters in Final Fantasy VII Remake. So that's kind of how I feel like I would do the combat. And obviously, the first cut that is going to happen is the Pokemon roster. I would go down to about 200 to 300 Pokemon in the game. So a heavy cut. I would probably say 200 returning Pokemon, and then you do like a new generation of Pokemon above that. I feel like that would be fairly good. So then you can, like the animation budget goes up like a little bit. Like having the full like the melee combat and ability animations for all the Pokemon in the game isn't a huge thing. Lynn in the chat says, "Hear me out. 150 Pokemons, but they're all variations of Gengar, who is the best Pokemon." Sure, we can have Gengar in the game, but we're not going to have 150 variations of Gengar. Even though that would be very, very good on the budget of the game, because we would only need one set of animations. So how are you feeling about this version so far?
All I'm thinking is, 300 Pokemons and all of them needs their own animation that feels good, and it need multiple animations. And suddenly I'm thinking, is there any game that has more than 300 unique models with unique animations? And suddenly I'm scared.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole I think it would be interesting to try it because I haven't tried a Pokken tournament, but it sounds like it would kind of go towards in that direction.
Yeah,
Although
Pokémon
Pokken
Tournament.
tournament is a Tekken game, but
Yeah.
it
Pokémon
sounds
Tournament
a lot more.
that's a full-on fighting game, and
Yeah,
that one definitely goes a little bit too far to be able to do it at this scale.
all I'm thinking is where's the trade? Or I guess it wouldn't be a problem because the trainer still in normal is just like a backdrop. Like it's pretending to be you saying to your Pokemon, do this move. So
That's
it
another
would just be the same thing here.
that's another thing that I was thinking about as I was thinking about this. Like, how would you do this? How would you do this kind of gameplay in real time where you actually don't control the Pokemon? Like, what if
You would do
you
the
have
Yokuni,
you have
probably.
real time control over your Pokemon trainer, but you actually have to give commands to your Pokemon. But how would that work? I don't know. It would be a lot, I think, and it wouldn't be. I don't know. But let's just assume we're doing it real time, direct control of the Pokemon for now.
It feels like kind of like I'm looking at Ni no Kuni Combat right now, but it kind of reminds me of that. But I don't know if you're the one walking around with the dudes, because you're like a normal human throwing out small fantasy creatures, and you might be moving around with them, and then you're telling them, "Hey, do this move at this opponent," and it does that move at that opponent.
I mean, yeah,
And you
like
have multiple out at the same time.
looking again at Final Fantasy VII Remake, you can give orders to your other party members to do moves, to do different abilities. So maybe you could do it kind of that way. But that's the entire game.
They're a bit like self. They're. I don't think that's good because I think Final Fantasy VII works because you're constantly switching between different party members doing different things. You're not just Cloud. You're the party members in the fight. You're switching, doing moves, and then you're making sure that we're not gonna combine our limit breaks, and Sifa's over there. I'm gonna go to her so I can position her correctly and put down the ward that doubles the amount of spells I use, and then I switch back to Cloud while she's starting casting Fire or Firog or whatever. I don't remember the names they use in 7. But that's an important thing is that you have control, and you're actively switching between who you're controlling. So I don't think it would work to have you on the sideline.
Yeah. Then the other aspect to it, because you brought up a point earlier where you would have to make 300 different characters feel good to play, and that's where you would bring in some form of class system where it's not like based on what kind of Pokemon it is, but more like the size and structure of the Pokemon itself. Like Pikachu and Raichu would probably be the same class because they're very similar in size and very similar in that way. But Charmander and Charizard would probably not be the same class. And this kind of class wouldn't be like something that's necessarily displayed to the player. It's more like a hidden thing where like a Charizard and a Dragonite, for instance, they would probably be a similar class because they would move very similarly across the battlefield. And like Gyarados and Milotic would also be the same. So you can pair Pokemon up in this way where they work identically to each other in basic combat. in just basic movement and everything like that, and how like they fly around and how they feel to move around. But they wouldn't necessarily have the same abilities and the same attacks like that. So it is still kind of differentiates them. And what I also like about this is that it brings a lot of it makes it very possible for you to keep your Charmander a Charmander, for instance, or your like something that I like about the anime is that Ash actually doesn't evolve his Pokemon very much. He does it with some, and some he doesn't. And the thing that the anime does is that these smaller Pokemon, they are obviously smaller and more nimble and faster than a large Pokemon. And that is an advantage that he can use in battle against another Pokemon. And that is something that I want to bring into this, where like I am a huge fan of Pikachu. I have a Pikachu in every team, in every Pokemon game that I play. But Pikachu is really not very good to play in Pokemon because he doesn't have a lot of health, and not a lot of defense and all this stuff, and his speed and agility isn't really an aspect that is useful in a turn-based battle system. But in a real-time system like this, having a really fast Pikachu that can run around and use quick attack and like zip by the other Pokemon and like kind of try to tire it out before attacking it is a really valid combat option. So, and yeah, obviously, along with everything that I do to video games, is that we wouldn't have a leveling system, and I don't know how this would how we would bring in some kind of progression into it. You would probably do it entirely through really fast Pikachu, like Sonic and Pikachu together. So Sonichu, no, not Sonichu. So I really don't know how you would do it. And this is something that I generally just want to do with games that I make in the future. I want to experiment how you would bring in some kind of progression without using it without doing a traditional leveling system. So similarly, again to the problem that you encountered there, like I also want the friendship with the Pokemon to be an essential part of the game. So maybe you could get stronger somehow along with that, but then also just training. I guess maybe a leveling system is the best, but at the same time,
man, you gotta accept that extrinsic motivation has to be done sometimes. Like, I know you're anti EXP and leveling, but there comes a point that, like any other way you go, it's just like, why go that way and not just use the leveling? So in this example, why would you remove the leveling from the Pokemon? Like, what does that improve? I don't think that would improve anything. I just think that would make it unnecessarily bothersome.
So okay, so
or you
what
would make a
about
system that's basically the same thing.
what about this? Instead of having a leveling system that goes from 1 to 100, what if you have a leveling system that goes from 1 to 5? And going up from one level to the other is like a significant thing. It is like a significant part of the journey that you have with your Pokemon. Like when you just catch a Pokemon, any Pokemon that you just catch wild in the world starts at level 1. No matter which Pokemon it is, where it is in the game, it always starts at level 1. And this 5-step improvement, I suppose it's kind of more like, like in Fire Emblem Heroes. You get like the different 5, like the different like the 5-star gacha system. I suppose it's kind of a little bit more like that, but we wouldn't do it with money and microtransactions.
Fucking Gacha Pokemon, that's cursed. Oh right, that's called Pokemon Masters.
Yeah. But yeah, I suppose it would be a little bit more like that, but this level would be something that you increase through combat and through befriending your Pokemon, and each step would require both to proceed. Yeah, no, we're not gonna have any gacha in the game. I was just likening it to the 5-star system, not the gacha system itself.
Gacha is cursed because it's a loot box system, and loot box systems are cursed.
Yeah.
I think the problem with having like the longer time you have between each level, the more annoying it's gonna get. Because sure, when you get to level 2 or level 3, it's gonna feel good, but every moment in between is gonna be a slog for some people, and that would invite grinding. That would invite, oh, level 5 is the best, but it takes forever to get there. Guess I'm gonna grind.
Yeah, but this is like the part of game development that I really like, trying to find out what works, and trying to like I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I'm going to do a massive revamp of Pokemon and figure out the right answer in this 2-hour podcast. Of course not. I'm just trying to present some ideas that could work and some solutions. But this is kind of the direction that I want to go in. I want it to feel a little bit more, I don't know, like I just want it to go a little bit more skill based, a little bit more like more real time, more in this way, like embrace what people love about the anime. The wild battles and how you have to really think. Lynn says, "What do you mean this isn't the? What do you mean this isn't the answer? I've already sent this to Nintendo and it's live streaming in the launch hall." Yes. Well, hi Nintendo. Please hire me to make your next Pokemon game.
No. I can cook. No, I can't cook coffee. I can cook. Hire me as a cook, and then I'll do that too.
Okay. But yeah. So, and yeah, when it comes to as I was mentioning earlier as well, like with the overall story, like let's not have a weird story with a bunch of villains or whatever. Let's just focus it on the important part, the actual gym battle. Make the story around that. Make the entire world focused on this, and make it really important, really cool. Because I feel like in a lot of Pokemon games, it's just, oh, here is this evil corporation, and then oh yeah, the gym battles.
Like I think the game that did best with the combination is probably Generation 7. I think Generation 7 did cool stuff. At least Sun and Moon, not Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, those can like go die in a fire for all I care. But Sun and Moon, I think they did a really good job at tying together like the different stories, because they didn't make anything feel like the side thing. All of them felt like connected in some way.
Yeah.
Like the whole Guzma thing, and I don't remember the Team Skull, and then we had like your journey to go through all the islands and get all the. I don't remember. It was called the Island Challenge, I think. I don't remember exactly how the setup was. I liked it because it wasn't gym challenges. It was something different and new. But I like the whole like you tried to have a story again, and I respected it because I found the Sun and Moon story to be quite good for Pokemon standards.
Yeah, definitely.
And it decided to actually tackle some heavier themes again.
Yeah, but
that
that's
didn't do like Generation 6. Oh, I want to be fabulous. I'm gonna destroy the world. No, in this case, it's just I want to save Pokemon, but I'm also a horrible narcissistic son of a bitch.
Yeah. But this is the thing. Like every Pokemon game, even the good ones, they always go like, okay, it's about the trainers, it's about the Pokemon, the gyms, and there are some other things going on, and then it just makes a hard left turn, and now it's about this evil corporation, this evil team, and then that storyline finishes, and then it just goes all the way back to the original storyline, and then you go to the gym, to the Pokemon League, and then the game ends. Like, it's never seamlessly one thing. It always just pivots to the secondary storyline, and it's now become the primary storyline until it's done, and then you go back to the first storyline.
I think Generation 5 also did it good because it ended with, like, when you defeated the evil team leader. That's the end of the story.
Yeah, but that means the gym
That's
battles,
like a cool thing they did.
Yeah, but
And I'm
then
gonna
the
spoil
gyms.
Generation 5 now. If you haven't played that, I don't even remember when the release it's old. But when it comes to the champion, it's like, oh shit, like sorry they beat me. And then a fucking castle rises out of the ground, and you have another dungeon. That's super cool. And then the final boss isn't the champion. It's actually the whatever his name was, the asshole from Generation 5 is all I remember him as.
The asshole.
So
the
like,
asshole. That's his name.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it also goes back to this whole thing that I want. Remember how in Diamond and Pearl you just enter a world of broken time and space and it doesn't face you?
Yeah, that does happen. You just kind of like enter another dimension, and it was like, yeah, this is just par for the course.
Yeah.
And that's also a thing that Diamond and Pearl actually had the champion, like Cynthia as the champion, coolest champion by the way. She has never been beaten. She will probably never be beat at this pace. Anyway, she was actually a part of the like villain team storyline, so it didn't feel as sidelined as it could have, and it does in some other games. But yeah,
yeah, it's I want the entire storyline to be about the gym thing. Like, you would the yeah, like something that I think is just a little bit too circumstantial in like all the Pokemon games is that the Elite Four and the champions and all that, the way you always like meet them in person. And it's just a little bit too circumstantial, you know? Like, I would want it to be where the Elite Four and the gym lead the Elite Four, the gym leaders, and the Pokemon champion, they are treated as celebrities in this world. And like, you see them on posters and like in commercials and all of this stuff. Like, they are on the big screens when you get to the biggest city and all of this stuff. Like, they feel like these people that are so far away from you and you can never even touch them, even if you reached as far as you can, you know? So when you actually are in the same room as these people, it feels like if you were to actually be in the same room as, like, I don't know, Harrison Ford. Like, that kind of level of celebrity and just like stature to it, you know?
they kind of did that. That's a thing I liked about Sword and Shield, because they gave the gym leaders, like, they were actually important people in their areas.
Which game did you say?
Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the cool stuff, because they made the gym leader battles, like, they made them grand. You're in a football field, and there's like an audience of multiple thousands of people sitting there and just cheering.
Exactly.
Which
That's
is really cool.
Part.
And
that's
what
great
people
part about
want.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great
and
part
like
about it.
They are celebrities. Like, when you get their like football card or Pokemon or whatever they call it, like, it feels cool.
So Alagos says in the chat, would you change the Pokemon fight or keep it as it is? So we talked about that earlier and I'm not gonna go super deep into it again. You can rewind to listen to that. But Carl basically says that he wants to go a little bit more like Persona, but not necessarily multiple Pokemon at the same time, right?
No, it would be multiple Pokemon
Yeah.
at the same time. I would,
But
like,
more
going to the Persona would be wrong. Just going more classic.
basically just make each Pokemon battle a little longer so that there's more time to strategize, and then make each Pokemon battle more important in itself, and not just throw a bunch of Pokemon at you over and over and over again to pad out the game. That's the idea that you want to go for. My approach is a little bit more drastic, which is I would go to a complete real-time battle system, a bit inspired by Final Fantasy VII Remake. So yeah, Pokemon.
I wish it was better than it is.
Yeah. Pull a Final Fantasy with Pokemon.
I support Dennis for once.
Mm.
And that means a lot because we usually have very different opinions on like game design stuff. But I support you. Don't live like, yeah. Oh no.
But the thing is, Sword and Shield has taken a lot of steps in the right direction. Like, wild areas are awesome. They're really cool. But the thing is, you can take even one step further with that. And first of all, like, just drop this engine. What is this engine that they're doing these games in? Like, it's just not very good. Like, just make it an Unreal Engine or something. Like, really revamp this from scratch. Or just take the Breath of the Wild engine. That one's great. Like, just use that and like, make when you go in, and obviously the entire game would be wild areas. And I would imagine that Generation 9 will go in this direction as well, because that's what they did with the DLCs here. But just the entire world would be this, not this interweaving path of linear routes, but more like this open world, like a real open world where you can go in any direction that you want. And you can go to any gym that you want and beat in any order that you want. And the ultimate goal is to get all the gym badges, just like any Pokemon game, and and when you have all the gym badges, you can get into the Pokemon League. But this time,
I would have it as like unlinear. I think linearity is important for an RPG because you want to tell a story. You want to tell like a linear story with an RPG. At least in my opinion, that's a hallmark of an RPG. So
that's
like,
the thing.
I like having choice, but I don't like having I could go to any gym at any point, because that can lead to a problem that a completely different game, A Link Between Worlds, had, that every dungeon had to be designed in mind that could be anyone's first dungeon, and that's a problem. In my opinion, every dungeon is designed in the same way and makes them rather simple.
So, but the thing is, you can have different versions of each gym depending on how many you've completed already. So if you go to
that's a lot of like design process and like this work hours that a lot of people might just not see.
Yeah, but that's what makes a great game. Well, not necessarily, but it's something. Give me 20 different endings, and every Pokemon needs to have 5 skill trees. Game design good. Exactly. I mean, that's the Ubisoft approach, and Carl and I, we're a big fan of the Ubisoft approach, aren't we, Carl?
I hate it less than you hate it. That doesn't mean I don't hate it. I'm gonna say something probably that will probably upset people. I'm not that big of a fan of like alternate endings.
Yeah, I don't care for me.
Like, a big thing I've started to think about recently is that a lot of people think of like linearity bad, unlinearity good, but that's wrong. Linear doesn't mean bad. Linear means linear. There are games that shouldn't be linear, that sometimes are linear, and that's a problem. But there are also games that are not linear, and they get damaged a lot by it. That's like, for me, Pokemon shouldn't be not linear. It should be linear, like, overall. I like when you can choose, kind of like, oh, I want to do, maybe have like a cluster of the gyms where you can choose between, oh, I want to choose the fire first, or the water first, or the grass first. But I wouldn't do like, oh, I can go to what would be in a classic Pokemon game, the last gym first. I don't think that would work. But yeah, that like, this is also, I think this is our personal opinions.
You could also just structure the world in kind of a way that like how Sun and Moon had 4 different islands. Like you could have the starting 3 gyms, or maybe just one of them to introduce the concept of the gameplay. Like have the first island be just one gym, like a Great Plateau introduction to the game. And then you beat that and you get a ticket to be able to go to another island. And here you have 3 gyms. And here you can pick each and any one of these in which order you want. And then you go to the next island, and then you can get either one of these in which order you want. And then you kind of complete it in this way. Then you bring some... Then you have this kind of approach. Like the game starts linearly, and then it kind of branches out, and then it goes back in, and then it branches out and back in, branches out and then back in. And so you get that kind of approach to the game. So you still have this linear story that you can tell, but within it there are these little variances that can happen, which bring a lot of choice and interactivity to the player. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I like it. It's kind of like the Sun and Moon approach, almost. It was super linear, and you didn't really have a choice in which trial you did.
There was a few times where you could do one trial over the other, right?
I don't remember. It was like last time I played Sun and Moon was 2016.
I don't remember.
Like, yeah, like, what I would do, like, I think this is just how it is. What I would do is not completely, but I would redesign the basic combat structure and then make it Sun and Moon. Because I liked a lot of what Sun and Moon did on the not like combat part or gameplay aspects. I liked the storytelling, and I also liked the whole like the Elite Four. It didn't exist until the games, and that's why it's not nobody's. It's the island kahunas that comes then like, hey, now we're gonna be the Elite Four, and then you have one of the coolest champion fights, which they ruined in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Murmur, but yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about something. What was it? I don't know. Something. That is sure. I was thinking about something, that's for sure.
But I think we're kind of Pokemon'd out at this point. Like, in the end, we like Pokemon, and we want it to be more than what it is. We want it to be what it can be.
Yeah.
Because
I believe now I remember what I was thinking about. So, I mean, in a lot of the episodes of I was thinking about something, that's for sure. Yes. Like a lot of the times when Ash reaches a gym in the anime, like for some reason he can't go into it. Like it just depends on what happens. Like sometimes just there's a gym leader, he's just not there, and it's to kind of build up his character a little bit. So you can also have these kind of things where maybe there's one of the gyms that is just like, hey, our gym leader is not here right now. You have to find him and like kind of, or maybe one of them is like, maybe he lost a battle and he was like, maybe he's lost too many battles at this point, and he was like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore, and you have to like encourage him to come back or something. Like you can introduce these kind of small stories with the different gym leaders, and not necessarily the gym leaders either, but maybe some of the trainers in the gym, because part of the gym challenge would be to beat all the trainers up to the gym or whatever. Like, so this person has to be there and he's not there, and that you could do it that way to keep the celebrity up for the gym leader themselves. So yeah, I think this is the kind of structure that I would go with. Like in Diamond and Pearl, the purple-haired lady just goes away, and you have to go out and fight her again. Yeah, there are some of those in the games. And yeah, oh, do you remember in Sun and Moon the ghost lady, when you're in that shopping that store? Like that is one of the best.
Super cool.
That is one of the best ones. And
they made a genuine horror dungeon in a Pokemon game, because when you go into that room and you just take out the camera and go into first person mode, and you're like, oh god, I have to turn around, and it's not okay.
Yeah.
And it's eldritch horror behind you that destroys you end of the game.
Mm.
I mean, I lie with the second part, but it is an eldritch horror. God, they went ham on those Pokédex entries in Sun and Moon, didn't they? People will peek under and look at what the real Mimikyu is and go insane and die.
Yeah.
Like that's not even a joke. That's like just a jokey way to explain one of the Pokédex entries on. I need to look this up.
I still want like a Mega Evolution to Mimikyu that just shows the real form of Mimikyu.
But isn't it canon that you can't look at the real form, or you will like go insane?
Yeah, you just become you just use the Mega Evolution, and then just everyone dies. Everyone on the battlefield is just dead.
Flavor text. This is from Shield. There was a scientist who peeked on a Mimikyu's old drag in the name of research. The scientist died of a mysterious disease.
Jesus.
This is word for word what is. I like the sword one. It wears a rag fashioned into a Pikachu costume in an effort to look less scary. Unfortunately, the costume only makes it creepier.
Yeah, that was a weird difference that they made in the anime. Like in the games, Mimikyu is like a Pokemon that loves Pikachu so much that it dresses up as a Pikachu to make people love it. In the anime, Mimikyu hates Pikachu with every fiber of its being.
That's pretty fun. But didn't the anime change a lot of stuff from Gen 7 to be like just different?
Yeah, I mean one of the weird choices that they made in the anime, Sun and Moon anime, was that Ash just goes to school. He just goes to school the whole time.
It's fine, they're kid. Isn't Lucille like just a doting mom?
Yeah. Like
instead of being like the horrible narcissistic asshole.
Yeah, like all the different like a lot of the different what were the gym leaders called in Sun and Moon?
Like they didn't really have gym leaders, they had the island kahunas.
Yeah, but what was the step under the kahunas?
I don't remember, like the trial people.
The trial people, yeah. But it's like people. A few of those trial people, they are like his friends in this one. Like
yeah, I remember the fire guy.
Yeah.
I know that he's like part of the gang. It's like the new Brock.
Yeah, it's like him.
Like they always have a new Brock and a new Misty.
Yeah, it's like him, the grass girl, the water girl, and then Millie. Was it her name Millie, or was it Lily? Right, Lily.
Yeah.
They are like his friends.
Yeah.
And then it goes like super weird. I don't know. I think it's the second series where like they go like full Power Rangers.
Wait, what?
Yeah, like
Okay.
Lusamine is like the leader, and they're like Power Rangers, and in every episode like that they do this, they go into this like transformation sequence where they get these Power Rangers outfits.
Yeah,
And they,
okay.
oh right, and they go hunting for like ultra Pokemon, like the ultra what was it called? Those
The Ultra
dimension the
Beasts.
ultra beasts. Like yeah, they go hunting for ultra beasts.
Also, it's not trial people, it's trial captains, but
Trial
basically the same.
captains. Yeah.
Whatever, it's people that takes care of the trials.
By the way,
Yeah.
that was another thing that was just a huge disappointment with Sun and Moon. Like the hype cycle for Sun and Moon was one of the best Pokemon hype cycles ever. And
I don't remember it.
Ultra Beasts were so hype. like,
Oh
like
yeah, because they're not technically Pokemon. They're
yeah.
just weird, like interdimensional things.
But then they just show up in the game and they're just a
Yeah.
Pokemon and you just catch it with an Ultra Beast ball. And
I
then
mean,
it's just
let's be
it.
honest, you could probably
And then
at
you
this
just
point you
use
could
it as a
probably catch a
Pokemon.
human in a Pokeball.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, that was I never watched the final series. Like I was spoiled that Ash won the Pokemon League for
and you
once.
were so upset that day.
I
It
was
was
so upset, and then I just didn't keep watching the anime.
I just remember going into Twitter and it exploded with, oh my god, they actually won. It only took 20
Yeah.
years.
But that was like a thing with the Pokemon anime. Like, there was some producer on the show or whatever that said that there are two, there are like two pillars of the Pokemon anime. One is that they swap the girl out every season so that fans can get new eye candy, and then yes, that is like
Jesus
oh my
Christ.
god. And the second pillar was that Ash will win when the show ends, and the show didn't end. So they just removed one of the pillars and then kept the sexist one.
But they're like, oh, the kids. Like, holy shit, they're kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Bruh.
That's
I like even thinking about it as this is a thing aimed for children, it's still fucking weird.
yeah. So yeah, Pokemon. Keep what makes the money, I guess.
I mean, like someone pointed out that Ash, like, he did something way better than beating the champion, and it was beating the whole battle frontier. Because I remember like a thing that like he beat the battle frontier that no one has done and no one cared and was super sad and like it's not like this super awesome thing, but it doesn't matter because it's
Yeah.
not beating the champion. And yeah,
Yeah. Then there's just also the other thing that Black and White was basically a reboot of the series. Like they redefined that Ash is 10 years old, because technically they never did ever say that Ash was 10 years old again. Like they did it in the first episode, and then they never did it again until Black and White. So technically, like, he did grow up, and Black and White is like a blank slate, just like okay.
it's in Black and White the worst like season.
It was
Or
pretty alright. It was alright, but the
I know
problem with
that
that one is
it's like
that
the most disliked one.
yeah, they had like a writer's problem in the middle of it, and it just kind of stopped abruptly. It was a very like half-assed ending. But X and Y is really good. X and Y is super good.
I've heard that.
Yeah, Serena
And
is
also
the best character, the best Pokemon girl character in the series, and they introduced some other very good characters. Yes, always pay writers. I would if I had a writer. But yeah, so any final thoughts on my radical Pokemon version? What?
no thoughts.
No thoughts.
No thoughts.
Okay. But do you like it generally?
I think that it's something you can work with. I'm just afraid that it's starting to go into like it's starting to not be Pokemon. Like it's Pokemon, but that's just the paint.
I mean,
That's
at the
the thing
core,
I'm worried about.
at the core, it's still you catch Pokemon, you fight with Pokemon, you train Pokemon, you get the gym badges, and you get to the Pokemon League. That is thematically what Pokemon is about. We've just changed how you do that.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't. This I need to process it kind of
Okay.
because it's not a bad idea. I just don't like, and that's just up to personal opinion. Because for me, like the RPG turn-based structure is a big part of Pokemon. I think it
So
completely depends on the person.
stay tuned to Carl's Twitter, where he will rage about this idea when he has processed it properly.
I don't even remember. I don't tweet much. I think the last thing I tweeted was shitting on one of the. No, I actually praised Star Wars Episode 9 in my last tweet 10 days ago.
Oh yeah, right. That was say one positive thing about Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
And I retweeted the one where she was saying, "Is this a threat?" Which
yeah,
is the
you
funniest thing to
make
me.
it sound like it's a threat.
But say something nice about the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, the only like take I've probably ever put on Twitter is me shitting on a Swedish frozen pizza and two people agreeing with me, one of them being Lindbat.
Okay. Should we talk a little bit about the direct, or just drop?
I have nothing to say about the direct because the vast majority of the games, like 99% of the games, I didn't really care about.
Cool.
Oh,
Age of Calamity is cool. Oh, by the way,
yeah.
did you notice how low the resolution is in Age of Calamity?
No, I was just happy playing. I usually like I have no problems just sitting down and turning my brain off and playing games, and that's what I did here. I was like, yeah, I can run around, and Info's fun to play, and that's about it.
Cool.
It's also a slightly meaty demo. Like
Yeah.
it's an hour and a half, and you get like a good taste of what it is.
Yeah.
And I hope like the other characters you can play are at least on par with Impa. And Link is boring to play in my opinion, but you also only get to try the like sword and shield, and I know he has other weapons, so that might change how it feels.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Are you gonna play No More Heroes 1 and 2?
Probably not. I have too many games. But I am right now not even playing Nintendo games. I am playing Outer Worlds and shooting capitalist swines in the face as a pragmatic space asshole. It's fun.
Okay.
It's Fallout in space.
Are you gonna play Farming Simulator with Marriage version?
I'm already playing another Farming
322?
Simulator with Marriage. I'm already playing Stardew with a fuck ton of mods. I don't need a lesser game.
I feel like hasn't there been a game in like every Pokemon, every Nintendo Direct, like the last 3 Nintendo Directs, with a game with like where you can marry someone? Like last time was that what's it called? Rune Factory.
I mean, at least Rune Factory is like one of the first ones in like the series is one of the first series. So this is like this new like fucking olive town or
It's like
whatever. I didn't really pay attention.
Nintendo is really trying to drill into us that we should get married. Like, and then maybe you can get married. It's like, okay, though, just take a chill pill.
I need at least 15 more years of freedom before I even like let me become at least 35 before I have to even think about getting married. And then I can start thinking about it.
Lynn says there needs to be one of those bad physics simulator games where you try to walk down the aisle of your own wedding.
So you're saying like the beginning of Octodad?
Oh, is that something that happens in that game?
It's the first thing you do.
Oh.
The tutorial level is you marrying your wife, and it's super silly.
Okay, that's cool.
Octodad was a good game. I never played the second one.
Mm.
Octodad, you play as an octopus pretending to be a person, and then you get married to another person, and you have children. That's just normal human children. And no, like, I don't know if they know you're an octopus or not, but they love you all the same.
Yeah, the game is entirely about, like, every level in the game is about pretending to be a person.
Yeah, like I think the first level is getting married. The second level is like making breakfast and doing the lawn or whatever.
There's
The
one
third
where you like
level
go
is
where you have to go grocery shopping.
Yeah, that's the best level. It's a really short game. It's like 5 levels, but it's a silly game. I think it's like super cheap too.
So yeah, that's it. Also, Tropico 6, they forgot
It's
to put
really bad.
They forgot to put textures in their game.
At least for the Switch version.
Yeah. Oh, and also it was interesting that they announced 2 cloud games. Hitman 3 and Control were both cloud versions.
I mean, it's cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I would just play it on a PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 instead.
They didn't forget to add the texture. It just looks really bad.
Yeah, it literally looks like they have, like, the textures look like they had the lowest level of detail version, and that's just the one that's there.
It's a problem with like Switch games because the Switch it isn't optimized for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to get games on the Switch if you don't make them specifically for the Switch. Sometimes you have people that knows Eldritch Magic and like the people that made Rocket League because those are gods. And other times you get Tropico 6.
Yeah.
That's a port and it doesn't work. But yeah.
So yeah, I think that's it. That's the end of this episode. Thank you for watching. And where can people find you, Carl? They want to stalk you.
I don't know. Somewhere on the internet. On Twitter. And I don't do stuff online. So, and I prefer not to have stalkers.
You can find me on Twitter at Dennis_Lofgren, where you can read my hot takes on things. Yeah, I mean, you enjoy my hot takes, right?
I ignore half of them. Like a bunch of them are like it's hot takes about Star Wars. I'm like, I don't care. I know your opinion of Star Wars well enough.
We need Dennis to speak out about the frozen pizzas.
Yeah, you can be a super like frozen pizza elitist. In my opinion, the frozen pizzas aren't pizzas. They're something completely different. It doesn't mean they're bad. It just means that they're different. They're not pizzas.
So yeah, you can read all my hot takes about Star Wars and all the things, like how the Xbox Series X is a scam.
Oh God!
It's not. It's
I
not a
need to find
scam,
you
but
latest hot take?
What?
What's your latest hot take?
Okay, let's present my latest hot take.
That you like the Jared Leto interpretation of Joker. That's not a hot take. That's just you're objectively wrong.
I mean,
Like I'm gonna
he's
ignore that because no one liked the Jared Leto Joker. It was a bad Joker.
No, I mean it was a different Joker.
It was a bad Joker.
It was a different Joker.
It was a bad Joker. It's everything the Joker isn't supposed to be. What more do we have? Like, you have a lot of like Apple stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it's a hot take or not. I don't care. I just want a phone.
Yeah, I mean,
You haven't done any hot takes in a while, except for the Jared Leto thing, I suppose. But like I said, you're just objectively wrong.
I mean, we still need to get the Ayer cut of Suicide Squad so we can actually see Jared Leto's Joker in his true performance. Because they cut the shit out of him in that movie. Like, according to Jared Leto, there's an entire other movie of content that they cut from Suicide Squad. Of just Joker.
Here's the latest hot take from a month ago. Shame on you, Dennis. Metroid: The Other M is not a bad game. That's a hot take right there.
It is a hot take, but it's true. It is not a bad game.
I don't know. I haven't played it.
Okay, Dennis has such good hot takes. He's objectively wrong about subjective topics.
That's just the thing with Dennis. Is objectively wrong about a lot of stuff.
Dennis in a nutshell: Apple, Nintendo, and Star Wars. Yeah, pretty accurate. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you. I agree. Metroid Other M is actually good. I really enjoyed it. Yes, it is a good game. I mean, it's technically like a detective story, and it's fun. It's Super Metroid in 3D, and there are there's some weird storytelling, some things like just some tweaks. I have often said that the Metroid game that needs a remake is Other M, because just put that game on a real controller, make some tiny little tweaks to the story here and there, and it's gonna be chef's kiss. Great game. Carl is tired.
I believe I'm really tired. I'd believe you. I have my problems. You know my problems with it, and my problems is with the story and how they like made Samus not cool. Anyway,
see you again next week, hopefully. Bye.
I promise nothing.